Pakok koi peshach. The sun enters the earth and leaves the earth.
We're standing in front of Los Angeles, I Hope You Know How Loved You Are. It's our installation that serves the purpose of an altar for our community of Los Angeles. We wanted a place where we can all come together to mourn the people that have been lost, not only because of the pandemic, but through the pandemic. A lot of the rituals that come from, us navigating grief were disrupted, derailed, or just completely forgotten. As Los Angeles begins to open up, we wanted to give that one special moment again with the families and their loved ones.
For David and I with the Classroom of Compassion, we found that for our own survival, we needed to start learning and practicing the tools of remembrance and the tools of grief, because not doing so and avoiding that conversation is something that I know I've experienced firsthand with my family and with myself, really has the impact to take a toll out of us, to even take us out of the world. Grief is something that we so often try and avoid as much as we can. And so often we work to kind of practice grief with the boundless tools that are out there, the boundless rituals that are out there, to find how we continue to cope and how we continue to find a way forward.
Leimert Park is near and dear to my heart. It was one of the first communities I've ever spent time in coming to Los Angeles. It was decided that these portraits would be best placed literally on the fence of a park that had been closed for a number of years. And it was of great distress to the community that this park was not accessible. And I really feel it brought something very important, a voice to how the community felt about the park. And I would just love to see those gates open again.
The Crenshaw Dairy Mart is coming out of the pandemic. We opened up in the pandemic. So as organizers and artists, we were able to make that pivot real quick.
It's really powerful to be working through the Department of Mental Health and the We Rise initiative, also through an arts institution. You know, it's really powerful just doing what we need to do, which is just like bringing food.
A large part of this pod is very much an extension of what we do at Crenshaw Dairy Mart. The way that we navigate is like through these models of care. That's how we're moving, and this is the way that we see this pod is just like how can we, one, create a community, two, how can we bring food, you know, like this pod has 7 different types of tomatoes, like different types of lettuce, peppers, squash. This pod is built in collaboration with Black farmers throughout Los Angeles, and all the plants that you kind of see here were once in their farm.
As an extension of, you know, the language of autonomy that we're bringing with the pod, the technical aspects of the pod, but also like community autonomy in food justice and that intersection with abolition across the city, across South Central, that's such a form of power and autonomy.
Los bolis, los pollillos, charamuscas, los bolis, la tradición de su país llegó a la puerta de su casa. Quédate en casa. Empecé a meditar. Ok, como hispanos, como inmigrantes somos obedientes, quedarnos en casa, pero a través de la trayectoria vienen los resultados. Cómo vamos a comer, cómo vamos a sustituirnos, cómo vamos a pagar la renta, cómo vamos... Todo vino en la mente.
The title of the piece is Only Light Can Do That, and that comes from Martin Luther King. And it's unpacking the past year, 2020, that darkness that we came out of, and giving people an installation that's full of light. This is a language that's kind of specific in different pockets of LA. Some places are heavier than others, but it's all kind of like this same kind of language. It's this rectangle with text. And my idea was just to kind of remix it. It wasn't trying to be, you know, sexy or trying to dazzle anyone. It was more about connecting with people and doing it in a way that was familiar. Like I said before, these windows become mirrors, and I want people to see not themselves, but just kind of the idea of like what they've been thinking about, or like what they was kind of like, you know, things that are resonating with them.
Humility, 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 humility.
Okay, that's the bass line. Just keep it going in the back of your head.
Humility, humility, humility. You're walking down the street, saying hello to the people you meet. Some have smiles, some have makeup, some look at you like you're not even real.
Humility, 1, 2, 3.
You look in the mirror and your eyes rise and you meet yourself.
Humility, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, that's the name of the game. You look to the sky and the clouds moving by.
We're at Los Angeles State Historic Park, and there's a lot of different layers of history that are present in this park. It was an indigenous pueblo and a trading site for Tongva, Chumash, and Tatavayam people. And it's near Chinatown, which is actually New Chinatown, after Chinatown, which was at Union Station, was displaced. And before that it was Little Italy, and before that it was Sonora Town, which was a Mexican community. This site in general feels very activated to me with all of those histories coming together. It's an adobe mixture, so it's sand and clay and dirt, but in this case I used graveyard dirt, which is often used in different folk magic practices. It's an ingredient used in spell casting, and within that mixture I also included my mother's ashes. My mother being an unrecognized saint in the Catholic tradition, and her suicide as an act of martyrdom, I think that I've come to a place where maybe it's time for the narrative to shift or evolve, and so I think of this as a sort of burial. The healing that took place with this work is what allows me now to be in the place where I'm seeking queer ancestors. You know, a lot of the work that I've done has been thinking about ancestors, thinking about my human ancestors, thinking about my non-human ancestors, but also now thinking about claiming queer ancestors as a way of understanding myself, and also wanting to, you know, gain more comfort in my own body as a non-binary person.
Jason is the absolute greatest person alive. He actually cares about your well-being. Funny, sincere, a truly remarkable person. Jason is a great friend to all. Jason is a great listener and will give you honest advice. Jason was a refugee. Jason would sacrifice everything for his friends and family. Jason is perfect, incredible person who anyone would be lucky to date. Jason is an amazing person. Everyone wishes they were Jason.
In Willowbrook, the two works of Rose and George are located along a new walkway that's along the creek. And that is a wonderful place because in many ways it's so unexpected to find art. And that's what I love about some of the sites that we have chosen. They are all public spaces. In all, what is amazing is that they are in spaces where we don't expect to encounter art.
Micronesian women are expected to be these really resilient, self-sacrificing type.
Right now, it's I've been learning to just be super grateful. My family, my mom put the entire family on her back and immigrated. And it's yeah, there's some, that built some trauma along the way that built,
military and tourism.
That I remember is, I don't even know how it was, but I remember to this day.
You don't have the luxury of.
You're saying about self-preservation.
Putting walls between you and where that violence is happening.
And
it's just that double standard of just okay, so you guys have all the time in the world.
Sometimes it can feel like we are so alone on this journey. It's up to all of us to really remind one another that we're never alone. David and I, so much of the work that we do really falls in line with this one Ram Dass quote that goes, at the end of the day, we're all just walking each other home. And I think this project has been a practice in walking our community of LA home and beginning that process of remembering what we've just experienced and survived through.